Hey everyone, Andy Moss here, tradingadventures.com with a quick market update on Wednesday afternoon, March 25th. And today's action felt kind of like watching a tennis match where nobody scored any points. The back and forth action here, if we go into a intraday time frame of the SPX here, you can see the back and forth, lots of movement and no real progress. However, maybe the buyers came away with a very slight advantage with price on the ES futures, the S&P 500 now consolidating sideways above a very slightly rising 5-day moving average. We'll take another look at that here in just a second. Nasdaq futures still below the 5-day. Russell 2000 is doing a little better. Not a new high yet relative to this one. However, it's up above a definitely rising 5-day moving average here. And the Dow futures are somewhere in the middle. So looking at our daily time frames, this chart of the SPX over here on the 30-minute view shows the 5-day just slightly rising and price just inside the opening range all day long. So on the daily, we've got almost a week now below the 200-day moving average. The 8-day is still coming down very steeply. The 21-day is still very far above, and the 50-day is curling over from up around 68.35. So we've still got just consolidation within a downtrend here on the S&P 500. Of course, it looks the same for the Qs, Nasdaq 100 ETF, below a rising 200-day moving average, below this recent area of what was support. And we can see it's already happened once. Looking at polarity here, levels that were previous support tend to act as resistance on the way up. We saw that back here on March 23rd, Monday. Didn't even get close to it yesterday, and today not quite there. It's more like the 8-day falling down kept the lid on things today. So not a whole lot of progress there on the Qs. The Dow 30 above an 8-day, above a 5-day, but still capped by this 200-day moving average there. And we'll have to see if that resolves in the coming sessions. And the Russell 2000 a little better. It's well above the 8-day. It touched its declining 21-day here today and gaining ground a little faster than the others, but there's still no real resolution to this chop and intermediate time frame decline here across the 4 indices. So moving quickly through some of our other market update names, Bitcoin, still no progress here. It's flat. It's not going down any further and kind of holding. We could draw a little bit of a trend line in here just for a visual cue. This is not necessarily support, but it has been a level where price has rebounded a bit over the last several weeks, and it's making some higher lows and a few higher highs in here. And the 8 and 21-day moving averages are behaving a little better, although the 8's coming down below the 21 today. So no big change there in Bitcoin. Overseas markets still under pressure as well. China still well down in this area of the lower 35s, the 36s, and even the bond market is staying low right now. So oil's consolidating the recent run pretty well here. This is just a astronomical move over the couple of weeks ago, but holding up in here between the short-term moving averages. It does have a 5-day declining overhead, but it's not crashing and giving back all of these gains, and it's not running away, which is exactly what we expected from such a large move like this. It's just chopping around here in wide ranges, trying to put some balance back into the market. Gold continues to settle down a bit after its strong sell-off over the last week or so. And once again, not really changing anything. This is still a downtrend, an intermediate downtrend after this huge rise there. So buyers really looking for shelter and running for cover just about anywhere they can. Silver looks similar. And then the last thing we'll look at here is the semiconductor index is definitely the leader On the upside, it's holding up very well. It's still above the 8 and 21 day, though they're choppy in here, and this is the rising 50-day right there at the top of today's range, or today's closing price actually there. And XBI, the biotechs, trying to stay in the fight, though. This is looking susceptible down here. We've got some recent lows in this area and did get a little bit of a bounce after yesterday's sell-off, but not out of the woods yet. Just back in this choppy range. We've still got this potential topping pattern forming here, and not a lot to be excited there about the XBI biotech sector. So across the marketplace, we still are in a choppy to down environment that continues to lack good swing trading setups. This is not a market to be overly involved in. There's really nothing to do except for the very short term and active day trading focus, or possibly some very longer term investors that are adding to some positioning on the way down, trying to buy things a little cheaper. It's just choppy to downward mess right now. So not a lot of opportunity, but there is a lot of noise. So what we need to see to get us more active and to get more involved is some expansion away from this range. Today's range is pretty tight. The range of the last 3 or 4 days is a little looser, but at least we're back over a 5-day moving average now. That's the first step. That's what I laid out. One of last week's updates was the way a turn would happen is we'd see a series of higher highs and higher lows that get back above a rising 5-day moving average. So we're not all the way there yet. Maybe today is a small step in the right direction. We'll have to see if tomorrow, can we hold this level? Can we hold the 5-day? And can we hold this week to date or 2-day anchored VWAP and week to date anchored VWAP here and go on to make a new high? Maybe by the end of the week, if buyers re-engage, we can test this month to date anchor up here. And by doing so, we'd want to see some back and forth action in here that continues to make higher highs and higher lows. That would drag the 5-day around and start it rising. And then we could maybe start to consider looking for more swing trading setups to the long side. Until then, patience is still our number one objective. It's the key. Cash is a position, and we just have to wait until things improve.